Okay, so we have covered a few commands in the last video. Let's learn a little bit more just so we can feel confident when we get to use our terminal later in the course. Another important command that you will use a lot is called sudo. Now, sudo allows us to run certain commands as root account, or in other words, as an administrator account. For those of you who don't know, root account on Linux is something similar as administrator on Windows. So let's check sudo command by running it with another familiar command that we already covered, which is touch command. So if I type sudo and then touch and then file1, let's see what will happen. So I'm just going to press enter. It asks for password, which makes sense because we're actually trying to create a file with elevated privileges. So the actual password that you want to type here is the same password that you used once you created an account during the installation of Kali Linux. So I'm just going to type mine right here, and the file has been created. We can check it by typing ls, and now that we created file 1 with elevated privileges, you will also notice that on desktop, if I lower my terminal, this file 1 has a lock on its icon, as we can see right here. This means we cannot change content of that file as a regular user. Let me show you what I mean. If I also go and create a file as our Mr. Hacker account, just by typing touch and then file2, here, if we take a look, this file2 won't have any locks on its icon. This is a file that we created as a regular user. Okay, we'll get back to this in just a second. For now, another useful command that I want to show you is called nano. Nano is a text editor. Once you open a file with nano, you will be able to write text there, or even code if you're creating a program. Let me show you how it works. So if I go to my terminal and I type nano file2, which is the file that we just created, it will open a window that looks like this. Here we can write anything we want. Let's say we want to write hello world. How is your day going? Okay, just a simple sentence. We can save this and then we can see whether we managed to write it using the cat command. So to save a file in a nano editor, you type Ctrl-O. Then once this pops up, you press enter, and then you can press Ctrl-X to exit out of nano editor. To make sure that we typed something inside of our file, we can cat it like this, so cat file2, and here we have our sentence. Hello world, how is your day going? Okay, awesome. But if we try to do the same thing with file 1, it will open this window, but as you can see, it won't work. It will tell us down below that this file is unwritable, as we can see right here. Why is this? Well, this is because we don't have enough privileges to change the contents of this file, or to write any new content. Remember, we created it with sudo command. So how can we write to it? Well, we can run nano with sudo command. Let me show you what I mean. If I type sudo nano and then file1, now it works. We don't get the error down here, and we can also type something like today is Tuesday. We can save it with Ctrl-O, press enter, and then Ctrl-X to exit. If we cat file1, now we also have the content written inside of our sudo file. So this is a way that we can actually create a file that cannot be accessed by a regular user. You would need sudo privileges to open and write to that file. Okay, but there is also another command that we can run to elevate our privileges. And this command is called sudo su. If I type sudo su, this command, instead of elevating our privileges for just one single command that we want to run, this will give us root account terminal. As you can see, right now we have Mr. Hacker terminal, but if we run sudo su, Now we get root terminal. We see it's not really the same. We have Mr. Hacker right here, while as here we have root name and we get this cool skull icon right here. But be careful while using root terminal, because with this terminal you can actually delete any file that might be crucial for the operating system, or you can make any changes whatsoever. There is no limitation. You can delete the entire operating system if you want. So only use this when you know what you're doing and when there are a lot of commands that you need to run with sudo, so in that case you can open a root terminal and run those commands and then exit out of the root terminal. Now you might be asking, well, how can I exit once I entered? Well, it's simple as that. Simple as typing exit. And we get back Mr. Hacker account. And let's also mention the last command for this video, probably the one that you will use more than any other command, and that is clear. Now, clear simply does as it says. It clears our terminal window. Perhaps you ran too many commands and you're looking at a lot of output that you no longer want to read, or you no longer need it at all. Well, simply by typing clear and pressing enter, we can get rid of all of that and get fresh and clean terminal window. Awesome. You're starting to get a hang of this. As you can see, terminal is not that hard to use. It will take some time for you to get used to these commands, but eventually it will become second nature for you. Okay, so there's one more video to cover for terminal, and we're left to cover some other commands aimed at networking and discovering our IP address, and so on and so on. So practice a little bit with these commands that we already learned in past two videos, and I will see you in the next one.